Welcome guys, Sense here. Today I will show you how to stress relieve a paracord. This is the second episode of my series on mouse modding. That being said, let's get right into it. First off, we need a universal paracord. If you don't know how to make one and you want to make one yourself, check out my last mouse modding episode. I'm going to link it so it's easy for you to find it. Personally, I'm also using a simple PVC tube with a diameter of 4 mm. You can find them at any DIY store. Obviously, you also need a mouse to install the paracord into. I'm using a Viper Mini for this episode. For the first method, you also need a lighter, and the second method requires superglue. The first method utilizes heat shrinks. With most of the pre-made paracords, there comes a heat shrink already applied to the cord. They use a relatively thick shrink to make sure you're stress releasing the cable in a sufficient way. The method I am going to show you utilizes the heat shrinks you already bought when making the paracord and is therefore the quick and dirty budget option. You basically just stack shrinks of increasing sizes until you reach a sufficient diameter. What do I mean by that? The stacked shrinks need to be able to lock in behind the cable lock of the mouse. More details on that later when I'm installing the paracord. Then you just heat the shrinks, you know the process already. And afterwards you have a sufficient stress relief. As you can see, you can't move it by any means. For the second method, we are going to use a PVC tube. I personally like that because that gives additional strength to the paracord and puts even less strain on the wires inside of the cable. Just cut a small piece from it and try to make the cut as clean as possible so it looks great if you happen to install it in a way where you can see the tube. Use superglue to glue the PVC piece onto the paracord. Make sure you let the glue flow underneath the PVC to get the best result. Now wait till the glue dries hard. If you feel like it, you could also add an additional heat shrink on top of the PVC piece. This makes it look pretty cool and could add additional support. In my opinion, that's not necessary at all. Now we can finally start to install the paracord. This isn't a teardown video, therefore I'm not going to include how to open the mouse. There are great resources on YouTube already. Just search for your mouse name and teardown. After you open the case, proceed to remove the original cable. It's always smart to remember how it was routed, because you will probably want to install your paracord the same way. But how do we install the cable to the PCB? First, we need a 5-pin AST connector. All we have to do is to put the crimps and the cable into the correct hole of the connector. You could either try the combinations out, search for it on the internet, or use the original connector and copy the way the wires are mounted. In my opinion, copying the original connector is the best way. It's the fastest and you can be 100% sure you don't do anything wrong. Therefore, I suggest using this method. Cut a PVC piece of matching size from the tube. Now you're going to cut it in the middle so you basically have an open circle. Don't worry, you won't destroy the stress relief by that, you just make it way easier to put it on the paracord. Now you just try to route the cable through the case and find the point where you want to apply your stress relief. The first step is to glue the PVC loop back into a circle. Add a bit of superglue to both contact points and close the loop. Make sure that the PVC is already in the right place, since it will also stick to the paracord. Now you bend the cord to enable the glue to flow underneath the PVC and add more glue. Be careful that you only apply it really close to the loop, since you could otherwise harm the look of the paracord outside of the mouse. This is also the reason why I like to apply the glue on the side of the loop that's facing inwards. Now you can put the paracord into position and connect the cable with the PCB. This can be a bit finicky depending on the mouse model. From my personal experience, the Razer Viper Mini was the most complicated mouse to paracord. Therefore you can expect a more linear wiring in most of the cases. This is how the mouse looks after wiring the paracord. I have a short in-game clip of Kovacs so you guys can see that actually everything works how it's supposed to. As you can see, my Viper Mini isn't default black. How do you do that? That's exactly what I'm going to show you in my episode on next Sunday. If you enjoyed this week's episode, please like the video and consider subscribing to not miss out on any future content. I would love if you guys could comment on what I can improve and if the video was helpful for you. Have a great week and talk to you in the next episode.